Imagine opening an app, typing a single sentence, and watching it generate a video of a person who has never existed, saying words they never said in a voice that isn't real. No camera, no actor, no studio, just you, a keyboard, in about 90 seconds. Sounds like science fiction, right? It's not. It's Tuesday. In 2026, there are tools sitting quietly on the internet right now that can clone your voice from a 10-second clip, tools that can write a legal contract in the time it takes you to make coffee, tools that can watch a video and tell you frame by frame whether it's real or fake, except they're almost as often right as they are wrong. So here's the question nobody wants to ask out loud. If a tool can do something this powerful, why does it feel like nobody's watching? Companies like OpenAI and Google DeepMind aren't the only ones building this stuff anymore. Small teams, sometimes just one person, are shipping tools that blur the line between impressive and unsettling. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which 10 AI tools are pushing that line the hardest right now, and why some of them might not be around much longer. Let's back up for a second, because to understand why these tools feel illegal, you first need to understand a much older idea, the printing press. When Gutenberg built his press in 1440, it didn't just print books faster. It broke a monopoly. For centuries, only monks and scribes could copy information one letter at a time by hand. Suddenly, anyone with access to a press could reproduce knowledge at scale. Kings panicked. Churches panicked. Some rulers even tried to ban it outright because the technology moved faster than the rules meant to contain it. AI tools in 2026 are doing something eerily similar, just with a different kind of monopoly, the monopoly on skill. For most of human history, if you wanted a professional voiceover, you hired a voice actor. If you wanted a legal document reviewed, you hired a lawyer. If you wanted a realistic portrait, you hired an artist who'd spent a decade mastering their craft. Skill was scarce, and scarcity made it valuable. Here's a mini-story that shows exactly how fast that scarcity is disappearing. In 2019, a small research lab called OpenAI released a text generator called GPT-2, and they were so nervous about its potential for misuse that they initially refused to release the full model publicly. Critics at the time called that decision an overreaction, even paranoid. Fast forward to now, and tools with 100 times that capability are available to anyone with a credit card. No warnings attached, no waiting list required. So the core concept here is simple. AI tools don't just automate tasks anymore. They automate expertise itself, compressing years of training into a text box. But if expertise is now available to everyone instantly, cheaply, and often anonymously, a much bigger question starts to form. What happens when that expertise gets pointed at somewhere it's never supposed to touch? That's where things stop feeling impressive and start feeling like something else entirely. That something else has a name, and it's already showing up in real cases. Let's answer the question directly. What happens when instant expertise gets pointed somewhere it shouldn't go? You get tools that sit in a legal and ethical gray zone so wide, entire industries are still arguing about where the line even is. Take voice cloning. On the surface, it's simple. Upload a short clip and the tool speaks in that voice. Useful for audiobooks, useful for accessibility. That's the simple layer. Here's the complex layer. Some of these tools need less than 10 seconds of audio to produce a convincing clone, and a few require no verification that the voice belongs to you at all. In early 2024, a robocall using a cloned voice of President Biden went out to voters in New Hampshire, urging them to skip the primary. It wasn't real. It worked anyway, reaching thousands of people before platforms could react. But here's the problem with that. Cloning wasn't the crime. Nobody erected the tool. The technology itself remained perfectly legal, sitting right where it was, ready for the next person to misuse it. That's layer 3, the surprising implication. We've built machines capable of large-scale deception, and in most cases, deploying them isn't actually illegal. Only what you do with them afterwards might be. This pattern repeats across categories you wouldn't expect. Deep-fake detection tools, built specifically to catch AI-generated fakes, are being used by researchers to reverse engineer what fools them, effectively creating a training manual for better fakes. AI negotiation tools can now analyze someone's writing style and predict their next move in a business deal before they've made it, raising questions about consent nobody agreed to. Even resume screening AI, marketed as neutral and objective, has been shown in multiple studies to replicate the same biases as the humans who trained it, just faster and at greater scale. This means that the danger was never really about one flashy tool doing something dramatic in a movie villain way. It's quieter than that. It's 100 small tools, each one useful, each one legal, each one slightly reshaping what's normal until you look up and realize the rules haven't caught up to any of it. What this tells us is that we're living through a gap between what technology can do and what law has decided to regulate. Historically, that gap always exists for a while, whether it was the printing press, the automobile, or the internet itself. But this gap is closing slower than any before it because AI development moves in months and legislation moves in years. And that leaves one uncomfortable tension hanging in the air. If the tools themselves aren't illegal and the people using them aren't always breaking laws either, then who exactly is responsible when something goes wrong? That question, who's responsible, doesn't have a clean answer yet. And that's exactly the point. Right now, responsibility is scattered across 3 groups who all point at each other: the companies who build these tools, the platforms who distribute them, and the individuals who use them. Lawmakers are still deciding how to split that responsibility, and until they do, the gap stays wide open. So let's zoom out. Why does any of this actually matter to you, someone who probably isn't cloning voices or building robocalls? Because these tools aren't staying in some niche corner of the internet. They're becoming the invisible infrastructure behind ordinary things. The voice on your customer service call, the resume screener deciding if a human ever sees your application, the video clip a stranger sends you that looks completely real. The technology reshaping the rules isn't distant. It's already brushing up against your daily life, quietly, without asking permission. And that raises a question nobody has fully answered. Not ethicists, not regulators, not even the people building these tools. Should something be restricted because of what it could do, even before anyone's actually done it? We don't ban kitchen knives because they could be weapons, but we do restrict things like explosives, precisely because the potential for harm outweighs the convenience. So where exactly does AI belong on that spectrum? Nobody agrees yet, and that disagreement is shaping policy in real time, right now, in 2026. Here's the thought worth sitting with. Every powerful tool in history has looked dangerous right before it became normal. The question isn't whether these tools will become normal, it's whether we'll have decided the rules before they do. If this changed how you think about what's really running quietly in the background of the internet, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video like this. And drop in the comments, if you could make just one of these tools illegal tomorrow, which one would it be and why?